what we are done with so far as such, guys, are the elements of cost. We're done with material, we are done with labor, we are done with direct expenses. Overheads is not an element. Elements of cost, guys, are material, labor and expenses. Under each of the category as such, beta, you will have direct and indirect. All indirect put together is overheads. So by now you should know how to allocate direct material cost, how to allocate direct wages, how are we going to include direct expenses, and how are we going to include the amount of factory overheads. Yes or no? Pratham, how will you include factory overheads, beta? How will you include factory overheads in the cost of any product? अरे आगे देखो कुछ नहीं है. How will you include the amount of factory overheads in the cost of any product? Om and Deepika, beta, meet me after in the break time today. अरे बेवकूफ. So guys, how will you include the amount of factory overheads? उसको कर्मन बीमारी है शायद. Karman, you tell me better, how do we include the amount of factory overheads? Oh my god, guys, are you serious? Beta, पूरा chapter पढ़ा चुका हूँ मैं, and we do not know how to include factory overheads in the cost of the end product. क्या पागल हो यार तुम लोग? चेतना बोल बेटा, सिखा बच्चों को. Guys, how many of you know how to include factory overheads in the cost of the product, beta? Not you, बेटा राघव. हाँ, तेरे को पूछे तो फिर तेरे को लगता कि तेरे को सब आता, फिर तो पूरे क्लास में हंसते रहता. वो on the basis of machine hours or labor hours, beta, overheads are allocated to the end product. That is what we have learned. No? The whole objective of that chapter, beta, was to know how should we transfer expenses to the end product. So for that, you will need recovery rates. Recovery rates are usually based on machine hours or labor hours. How will you identify direct material costs with the end product? कर सकते लिंक, लेकिन कैसे? Material requisition notes, beta, will tell us which materials were used for which product. Likewise, beta, a timesheet maintained by the organization, guys, will tell us which employees have worked on which product. You will know what is the amount of direct wages. You will know what is the amount of direct material cost. Are we clear about this? The next two topics that we are going to do as such, beta, basically this, इसमें भी और एक छोटा part है, are the techniques of costing. A technique of costing, guys, will tell us what is to be included, what is to be excluded from the cost of a product. So far we have learned any expenditure that is incurred to bring the inventory to the present location and condition should be included in the cost of the inventories. Doesn't matter which chapter, guys, every chapter had the same rule. Correct beta Raghav? जोर से बोल. So doesn't matter, guys. नहीं तो आजू बाजू वाले बेटा थोड़े बोर हो रहे थे, मेरे को लगा. We have to include all of those expenses in the valuation of inventory. So by default, beta, we include all manufacturing expenses in the valuation of inventory. The two techniques of costing in costing, marginal and absorption. Marginal costing tells us that we should include only variable manufacturing expenditure in the valuation of inventory. We will not include fixed manufacturing expenses. ये option नहीं है accounts में. We will learn accounting standard 2 when we are doing accounts, valuation of inventories, or you guys must have already done that at foundation level, guys. Inventories without AS2. AS2 नाम नहीं था, but they've covered the entire standard already at foundation level. So they've clearly told us that you have to include all manufacturing overheads. Prime cost plus manufacturing overheads will be included, guys, in the cost of the finished product. And those overheads includes both variable as well as fixed overheads. So as per AS2 or as per accounts, it is mandatory that we include fixed manufacturing overheads in the valuation of inventory. As per marginal costing, guys, we should include only variable manufacturing costs. Remember, guys, I am not talking about the fact whether you will incur the expenditure or not. Just because you're not including some expenditure, guys, in the valuation of inventory, that does not mean someone is sponsoring the expenditure. You still have to pay the expenditure out of your pocket. Whatever expenses that the organization incurs, will be written on the debit side of your trading account, P&L account. If it is to be included in the valuation of inventory, it will form part of closing stock valuation. Otherwise, it will not form part of closing stock valuation. And if it can be included in the value, पीरियड कॉस्ट, प्रोडक्ट कॉस्ट याद है? Period cost is any expenditure that is to be directly transferred to P&L account, cannot be included in the valuation of inventory. Product cost is expenses beta that can be included in the valuation of inventory. Are we clear about this? So here beta, as per marginal costing, what are we supposed to include? Only variable manufacturing expenses. Absorption costing on the other side as such beta tells us that we are supposed to include both variable as well as fixed manufacturing expenses. What we normally follow but is always and always absorption costing and not marginal costing. Marginal costing guys is used in real life for the purpose of decision making. Okay. Though the name of the chapter is marginal costing, there is very little valuation that we are going to do in this chapter. The chapter is not about valuing inventory, the chapter is about short-term decision making. And for that short-term decision making, you should know the nature of expenses that you're incurring. Are your expenses variable or are your expenses fixed? Because if you change your output, you know that it is only variable cost that is going to change proportionately. That is why the name of the chapter should have been CVP analysis. CA final में chapter का नाम था CVP analysis. Cost volume profit analysis. If your volume changes, how is your total cost going to change and how is that going to have an impact on your profit? Something that you have learned in FM as operating leverage. Isliye I said operating leverage is actually a concept of costing guys. Financial leverage is a concept of finance. But वो दोनों leverages वहाँ पे पड़ते हैं. Isn't operating leverage also the same thing? It tells us by how much will your operating profit change by whenever sales change on account of fixed operating cost. Even here guys, under marginal costing, we try to understand the same relation. If your overall output is changing, by how much will your total cost change by, and if your total cost is changing by how much will your profits change by. That is how you're going to see. उसको क्या बोलते हैं? CVP analysis. But are we all clear about the definition of the word marginal costing and absorption costing first? Yes or no guys? So as per marginal costing, what are we supposed to include? Only variable manufacturing expenses will be included in the valuation of inventory guys. As per absorption costing, we will include both variable and fixed manufacturing expenses in the valuation of inventories. Any doubt in this part? Yes or no guys? Write an example beta. साथ में लिखते जाओ. Opening stock 0 units. Production beta is say 1 lakh units, out of which sold 92,000 units, closing stock 8,000 units. Sold beta is 92,000 units, closing stock is 8,000 units. The organization, direct account के फॉर्म में information लिखना, वो लिखे ऊपर का. Opening stock 0 units, production 1 lakh units, beta sold 92,000, closing stock is 8,000 units. उसके नीचे 2 direct materials, 5 lakhs, direct wages 7,50,000, variable manufacturing overheads 2,50,000, fixed manufacturing overheads 1,50,000, variable selling and distribution overheads 2,88,000. Fixed S&D 1,12,000. By sales beta 92,000 units sold at a price of 50 rupees, 46 lakhs. Variable manufacturing overheads are 2,50,000, fixed manufacturing overheads 1,50,000, variable S&D and fixed S&D guys. Sales are 46 lakhs. You have the entire information in front of you, beta. Rough में calculate करके बोलो what should be the valuation of inventory under marginal costing and absorption costing, and what should be the profit levels. Sales are 46 lakhs, beta. 92,000 units multiplied by 50 rupees per unit. Valuation of inventories, guys. You will include direct material. How much is direct material, guys? 5 lakhs. Obviously nahi aata na. Direct wages, guys, will be 7,50,000. How much is variable manufacturing overheads? You stop at this point only, guys. These are your total variable expenses. So yes, whatever you said is correct. The valuation of inventory beta will be 1,20,000. These are your total variable manufacturing expenses, 15 lakh rupees. If you add fixed manufacturing overheads also beta here, how much is fixed manufacturing overheads? 1,50,000. You're going to get beta total manufacturing cost. You will never include variable selling and distribution, fixed selling and distribution in the valuation of inventories, guys. Not possible. Only manufacturing expenses can be included in the valuation of inventories. Now, this will be used for marginal costing and this will be used, guys, for absorption costing. Under marginal costing, inventories are valued at variable manufacturing expenses. So here when I write closing stock beta, when we write closing stock, under marginal costing, guys, I will write, we have incurred how much? 15 lakh rupees to manufacture how many units? 1 lakh units. How many units do we have in stock? 8,000 units. If 15 lakhs is the cost of 1 lakh units, what will be the proportionate cost of 8,000 units? 1,20,000. समझ में आ रहा है नहीं आ रहा है? This is under marginal costing. अगर वही बेटा you are following absorption costing, 16.5 lakhs is the cost of how many units? 1 lakh units. We have manufactured. We have how many in stock? 8,000. कितना हो जाएगा? This will be the difference, guys, between marginal costing and absorption costing. Accordingly, the profit will change. समझ में आ रहा है नहीं आ रहा है? Obviously, profit will differ, guys, depending on the inventory method that you are following. Under absorption costing, profits will be higher by 12,000 rupees because closing stock is higher by 12,000. कितना बेटा प्रॉफिट अंडर मार्जिनल कॉस्टिंग? पूरा 26 lakhs 70. 26 lakhs 70,000 beta will be the profit under marginal costing. The same thing beta under absorption costing will become 26 lakhs 82,000. Under marginal costing, the profit is 26 lakhs 70,000. Under absorption costing, guys, the profit will be 26 lakhs 82,000. This another method of costing beta called as direct costing. What do you think beta will be direct costing, Janvi? We will include only fixed manufacturing overhead. Let's use common sense, guys. There's never a chance that you include only, guys, मतलब we will not include direct material, raw material जो use हो रहा है, लेकिन factory rent include करेंगे. What can be direct costing beta, Manoj? All direct expenses alone beta will be included in the valuation of inventory. Does not matter whether they are variable or fixed. As long as they are direct in nature, they're directly related to a product as such, guys, it will be included in the valuation of inventories. Are we clear about this? Likho beta next heading. Cost, volume, profit, analysis. As I told you guys, marginal costing is specifically used for the purpose of decision making. The advantage of marginal costing is that you're segregating your total expenses into variable and fixed. Once you segregate your total expenses into variable and fixed, you will know what proportion of your expenditure, guys, is changing with a change in output. So whenever you have to take a decision, guys, regarding the price at which a product is to be sold or what is the amount of incremental profit that you're going to derive, marginal costing principles are used. Are we understanding this? That is why as such beta it is used again for decision making. See guys, recovery of fixed costs is not that relevant in the short run, but recovery of fixed costs is definitely relevant in the long run. In the short run, you may cry that fixed costs will not change with the change in output, guys, and that is why even if you do not recover fixed costs, that is fine. But in the long run, an organization cannot keep neglecting fixed costs. ऐसे सोचो बेटा, let's say that you're running a private jet service. ठीक है, you're paying a rental of about $3 million on the jet every year. Fixed expenditure. Doesn't matter whether you use it for 1 hour, doesn't matter whether you use it for 10 hours. Someone comes as such guys to hire that jet. They are willing to offer you an amount of 10 lakh rupees. You know that your variable expenditure is about 8 lakh rupees for that trip. Plus if you apportion the cost of the lease rental that you're going to pay yearly, your total cost is coming to 15 lakhs. तुम्हारा वेरिएबल कॉस्ट कितना है 8 lakhs है. टोटल कॉस्ट इंक्लूडिंग फिक्स रेंटल बेटा is the person who wants to hire that jet as such beta is offering only 10 lakh rupees. What will you do? If I take overall cost into consideration guys, I'll say reject it because my total cost is 15 lakhs, but then the person is offering only 10 lakhs. But common sense, there is nothing that you can do about that 7 lakh rupees fixed cost. You know, if you accept this as such beta, you will incur additionally only 8 lakhs and you will receive an amount of 10 lakhs. You're at least making a positive contribution of 2 lakhs. Will that reduce the overall losses that the organization is making? No doubt the organization will still be operating at a loss only, but at least the amount of losses will reduce because there's nothing that you can. If you do not take up this beta, your loss is 7 lakhs. If you take up this, at least your loss is coming down from 7 lakhs to 5 lakhs. समझ में आ रहा है नहीं आ रहा है guys? So this approach guys of accepting orders on the basis of variable cost is not something that an organization can implement on a long term basis. सदियों के लिए अगर ये सोचते गए समझो बेटा that it is not relevant, it is not relevant, it is not relevant, the organization will always incur losses and will not stay relevant at all as such beta. Organization itself will have to shut down. So इसीलिए बेटा इसको बोलते हैं short term decision making. This is not long term decision. This is not strategic decision making. Strategic decision making that you learn as such guys under SM or from a longer perspective as such guys is keeping in mind some goal of the organization as such guys. So that is different. Over a shorter period when you know that the markets are distorted, to take advantage of the markets as such guys, you might resort to this short term decision making, but it cannot be on a longer picture. Are we clear about this? Yes or no guys? I must have given you these examples guys in the first chapter also when I was doing relevant and irrelevant cost. I said it common better for hotels to sell away rooms at a substantial lower price. They do that as such better because they know anyways they're not able to sell the rooms as such guys. Some amount of positive contribution will at least reduce the overall cost that the organization is incurring. Yes or no? They factor in that point guys. They know that during the season they will be able to charge a higher price also. अभी ये देखो New Year's आ गया as such guys. Hotel prices are usually double, directly double as such guys, because they know that is a peak season. Everyone would want to go on a vacation as such guys. Demand is high, they will charge a higher price. Likewise during off season there's no demand, that is why they will be willing to give it away better at any price, lower prices. Are we clear about this? Yes or no guys? समझ में आ गया क्या बोल रहा हूँ मैं? So marginal costing is good, but for what? Short term decision. This is one of the drawbacks here, but then ठीक है. It is never for strategic decision making. It is only and only for short term decision making. Any doubt in this? Majority of the pricing decisions that you see guys by larger organizations are not on the basis of variable cost also. They are strategic decisions. Organizations will not mind incurring losses as such guys if they know that the intent is to get a higher profit over a longer period. Ab Jio Hotstar as such guys in the news again, they have applied to ICC stating that we would want to cancel our broadcasting rights, so we will not want to pay this. The ones who are done with accounts, article padna, onerous contract is the word used, and you know what is onerous contract. They've used provisioning for onerous contracts also, accounting treatment. But अपन वही सब words पे ध्यान देते हैं कि क्या accounting रहता है इसका बोल के. But anyways, here guys, the organization committed that they're going to pay about $2.4 billion for a 3-year deal. Now they're like, we are incurring heavy amount of losses, we cannot continue to pay this, we want to back out. So strategic decision making going wrong guys, drastically. They thought that this would help them get a higher market share, in turn increase the amount of revenues, but then the amount of losses that they're reporting is only about 12,000 crore rupees. They made a provision for 12,000 crores. Star Sports made a provision for 12,000 crores last year. This time also Jio Hotstar on a consolidated level is posting a huge amount of loss, only thanks to all of these sports deals. So that is why they want to back out. They're like, we are not generating so much amount of revenues. ठीक है, ये समझ में आ गया पहले पूरा? हाँ या ना, CVP analysis में guys, what are we going to do? Analyze the cost structure of an organization, know what is variable cost, know what is fixed cost. Once you know that, you will know how a change in volume guys is going to have an impact on the profit of the organization. Are we clear about this? Yes or no? Now, the certain terms that you will know guys here. Let's say selling price per unit is 150 rupees guys, variable cost per unit is 60 rupees. What will be your contribution? Everyone knows contribution. Let's say the fixed cost that an organization is incurring guys is 4,50,000. If this organization is operating at a volume of 3,000 units, what do you think will be the total sales of the company? 4 lakh. Guys, it's a coincidence that it is equal to the amount of fixed cost. It should not be, all right? How much is the amount of variable cost, beta? 60 rupees into 3,000 units. 1 lakh. How much will be the amount of contribution? The organization is incurring a fixed cost of 4,50,000 guys. What will be the amount of profit or loss? 1,80,000 loss. If the company sells 3,000 units, they will be incurring a loss of 3,000 units. They will be incurring a loss of 1,80,000 rupees. If the company is operating at a volume of 5,000 units, better 7,50,000, 3 lakhs, 4,50,000, 4,50,000. The amount of profit or loss beta would be 0. Are we clear, guys? This is called as your break-even point. Very good, beta. If the company is operating at a volume of, let's say, beta 9,000 units. At 9,000 units, it will be 13,50,000, 5,40,000, 8,10,000, 4,50,000, 3,60,000. So if they are operating at a volume of 9,000 units, they're going to make a profit of 3,60,000. Now, the first term that we have beta here is PV ratio. I know that I've already explained this earlier, but I have to do it again. PV ratio, guys, is profit volume ratio. It is the proportion of contribution in the overall revenue of the company. What percentage of your revenue is contribution will be your PV ratio. You know that your product beta will be sold at a price of 150. For every unit that you have to sell, you have to also incur a variable cost of 60 rupees. What is the amount of contribution that we are getting? 90 rupees. This 90 upon 150 beta, what's the proportion? 60%. So if my revenue increases by 10 lakh rupees, my variable cost will increase by 40% of 10 lakhs, 4 lakhs, and my contribution will increase by 6 lakhs. 60% of that 10 lakhs, 6 lakh rupees. So PV ratio is the proportion of contribution in the overall revenue of the firm. Doesn't matter, guys, at what volume level are you computing, the answer cannot change. It's a relative term. It is not an absolute term. Whether you compute that at a volume of 3,000 units, whether you do that at a volume of 5,000 units or 9,000 units, it does not make any difference. Your PV ratio is going to remain constant at 60%. Just say, at 3,000 units, guys, group ka to nahi hai na? At 3,000 units, it will be 2,70,000 divided by 4,50,000. At 5,000 units, it will be 4,50,000 divided by 7,50,000. There go a personal message. At 9,000 units, but it will be 8,10,000 divided by 13,50,000. Are we clear, guys? Doesn't matter at what volume are you computing, the answer is going to remain same, 60%. PV ratio is not affected by change in volumes. The only two factors that affect PV ratios are selling price on a unit basis and variable cost on a unit basis. If selling price per unit changes, your PV ratio will change because your variable cost per unit is going to remain constant. Unless otherwise given, you will not change it proportionately. Let's say that you're increasing selling price per unit, guys, from 100 rupees to 120 rupees. That does not mean your variable cost per unit will proportionately increase. Your variable cost beta will remain constant. The amount of contribution per unit will increase. अभी जैसे अपने example में beta selling price per unit was 150. This is 60. This is 90. If I increase the selling price by 10% beta, what will happen beta? This will be 165. This will remain at 60 rupees. This will become 105. What will be my PV ratio now? 105 divided by 165. 63.6364%, guys. Or if I keep the selling price constant, guys, and let's say I increase the variable cost by 10%, guys, and that becomes 66, my contribution will become 84. What will be my PV ratio? 84 divided by 150, guys, 56%. Are you all following, guys? What if I increase both selling price per unit and variable cost per unit, guys, by the same proportion? Then it will remain same. 165 minus 66, guys, that will become 99 rupees. 99 upon 165 at a 60%. There are only two factors that affect PV ratio: selling price per unit and variable. जो भी पढ़ा रहा हूँ बेटा पूरे important points है to solve questions. The minute you see in any question that selling price per unit is changing or variable cost per unit is changing, we will make it a habit to write PV ratio will not remain constant. Doesn't matter better how many times I tell this. Every batch there will be students making a mistake in the same point. So it's much more fun to learn from our own mistakes, guys. Why should we learn from others? The world will become a better place if we start learning from others' mistakes. Yes or no, guys? So बचपन में सब बोलते बेटा पते ना को खेलो बोल के, वो जब तक नहीं खेले कैसे मालूम रहता बेटा कि खेलने में क्या बुराई है बोल के. हाँ इसके केस में ये बोल रहा है, बचपन से सब बोलते गुटखा मत खाओ बोल के, तू वही बोल रहा है ना. अच्छा, yes guys. So PV ratio, guys, is what? Proportion of contribution. It is affected by only two factors, and those two factors, guys, are selling price per unit and variable cost per unit. The question will tell us that volume is changing. Will PV ratio change? Fixed cost is changing. Will PV ratio change? No. Doesn't matter what is happening to the amount of fixed cost. Does not matter what is happening to the amount of sales volume. If the question says variable cost per unit is changing, PV ratio will change. If selling price per unit is changing, PV ratio will change. Both of them are changing by the same proportion. PV ratio will still remain constant. It is not going to change. Are we clear about this? Any doubt in this part? Better. ये हो गया PV ratio. Now ignore the changes in PV ratios. Let us come back to the same question. Break even point is the point beta where our profits, guys, are zero. Whatever cost that we are incurring as such, guys, total revenue is equal to total cost, guys, or the amount of contribution that we are generating is exactly sufficient to recover the amount of fixed cost. That does not mean hereafter we will not incur any cost. Hereafter we will still have to incur variable cost. A company is operating at 5,000 units. I already know better here. What is the break-even point? Correct. The total cost at 5,000 units, guys, is 3 lakhs plus 4 lakh 50, 7 lakh 50,000. That is equal to my total revenue of 7 lakh 50,000. But if I increase my volume from 5,000 units to some other level, I will still have to incur variable cost. बच्चों को ये लगता है एक बार break even हो गया, total cost recovered, इसके बाद में only incoming, no outgoing बोल के. You still have to incur variable. See guys, from 5,000 units to 5,001 units, ठीक है, you will increase your revenue by 150 rupees. That does not mean you will not incur that variable cost of 60 rupees. Your profits will not be equal to 150. Your profits will be equal to only 90 rupees. It is only the amount of contribution better that will increase the amount of profit, not the amount of revenue. Are we clear about this? So at break-even point better, total cost is equal to total revenue, but this total cost is only for what units? Break-even units. If I want to go beyond this, I will still have to incur variable cost for those additional units. Are we understanding this better? Now, so obviously guys, at break-even point, the amount of contribution better should be equal to the amount of fixed cost. Contribution per unit into number of units should be equal to fixed cost. Number of units will be equal to fixed cost divided by contribution per unit. This is the formula for break-even point. 4,50,000 मैं ऐसी थोड़ी 5,000 मजाक में लिखा बेटा, obviously calculate करके लिखाऊंगा ना, मेरे को zero लाना है बोल के. 4,50,000 is the amount of fixed cost, guys. Contribution per unit is 90 rupees. 4,50,000 divided by 90 rupees. 5,000 units will be the amount of your break-even point. Simple guys, common. Even if you do not know the formulas as such guys, you will be able to compute break even point. Don't worry about it. Just present profitability statement, you will know the answer. You guys did that in leverages. I did not tell you this formula guys, but you still computed the amount of volume and everything. So all you have to do beta is divide the amount of fixed cost by contribution per unit. समझ में आ रहा है नहीं आ रहा है? Yes or no? PV ratio into sales. Will that still give me contribution? Contribution per unit into number of units will give me total contribution, or sales in rupees will be multiplied by PV ratio to still arrive at contribution. Let's say if my sales in rupees beta is 7,50,000, how will I compute contribution? 60% of that is my contribution. So 7,50,000 into 60%. So I can also write sales in rupees as fixed cost divided by PV ratio. So if you want break-even sales in rupees, you will directly write fixed cost divided by PV ratio. If you want break-even point in units, you will write fixed cost divided by contribution per unit. That is how we arrive at the amount of break-even sales. समझ में आ रहा है नहीं आ रहा है? थोड़े questions में per unit detail रहेंगे ही नहीं. So we will not have any option. We will have to write the answer in rupees only. In few questions as such guys, they might give us per unit. They will ask us to compute volumes. We will write the first answer. Fixed cost divided by contribution per unit. Any doubt in this? दोनों break even point के लिए बस. It is not for anything. This is break even sales only. हाँ. PV ratio into sales is contribution, but मेरे को ये equation में करना बेटा. I'm only and only computing at break even point. At a specific break even point, how do I arrive at the amount of total sales? That's it. Anyways guys, are we all clear about this? Understood? Ganesh, are you there? Now Ganesh, there's something called as cash break even point. Cash break even point beta does not consider total fixed cost into consideration. It considers only cash fixed cost. It says ignore non-cash cost. Or we are trying to compute what is the amount of sales at which you will be able to recover all your cash fixed cost. Depreciation is a non-cash expenditure. It says, okay, temporarily, even if you do not recover depreciation, that is fine. Let us recover the amount of rent that we have to pay. Let us recover the amount of salaries that we have to incur. बाकी सब भाड़ में गया बोल के. समझ में आ रहा है क्या बोल रहा हूँ guys? भाड़ में क्या होता है? You'll recover everything over a longer period guys. But over a shorter period, let's concentrate on recovering. See, many organizations guys, when they start their businesses guys, initially their objective will be to become cash positive. Loss incur हो रहा है अभी भी organization level में, but at least the amount of cash flows beta should be positive. That means they are not able to recover the amount of depreciation, but they're still able to recover all the expenses that are to be paid in cash. By doing this, they will know at least they will not keep needing additional cash every month. अगर cash ही negative है बेटा, cash losses incur कर रहे, they will keep needing more and more amount of funding every month. Are we clear about this? Once they become cash positive, then they will worry about how do they become profit positive also. How will they recover those amounts of depreciation also? So what do you think will be the formula guys for cash break even point? Numerator same beta. Instead of fixed cost, you will have cash fixed cost divided by either contribution per unit or PV ratio. The intent is to ensure that the amount of contribution that you are realizing guys is equal to the amount of cash fixed cost. Okay? Not the total fixed cost. So that is why the answer beta will be cash fixed cost divided by the amount of contribution per unit or PV ratio. समझ में आया नहीं आया? Yes or no guys? Any doubt in this? Now, what if you would want to compute sales to make a certain amount of profit guys? Let's say that the amount of fixed cost is 4,50,000. अपना ऊपर का ये example. But तुम्हारी चाह ये है that you would want to make a profit of 3,60,000. कितना था लास्ट केस में? You answer मेरे को ही मालूम है, तुम्हारे को ही मालूम है, but फिर भी guys वो सब सोच के example बनाया ना यार मेरे को. So profit guys is 3,60,000. Now guys, common sense better. You would want your contribution to be equal to how much now? How many units should you sell to make a contribution of 8,10,000? 8,10,000 divided by 90 rupees per unit. Yes or no guys? Guys, are you getting the point, guys? You do not just want to break even better now. What is your target? To make a profit of 3,60,000. If your target is to make a profit of 3,60,000, guys, and also recover your fixed cost of 4,50,000, you know that your contribution should be equal to 8,10,000. Abhi bhi, guys, formulas are always contribution divided by contribution per unit or PV ratio. Doesn't matter, guys. What are we trying to compute? सिर्फ ये चेंज होते रहता, कितना कंट्रीब्यूशन चाहिए, सिर्फ ब्रेक इवन करना है. योर कंट्रीब्यूशन शुड बी इक्वल टू द अमाउंट ऑफ फिक्स कॉस्ट. नहीं सर, सिर्फ वी डू नॉट वांट टू जस्ट ब्रेक इवन, वी वांट टू मेक प्रॉफिट आल्सो. देन व्हाट डू यू थिंक बेटा विल बी द फॉर्मूला? फिक्स कॉस्ट प्लस प्रॉफिट डिवाइडेड बाय कंट्रीब्यूशन पर यूनिट और पीवी रेशियो. You just want to break even, it is fixed cost. You want to make profit, it is fixed cost plus whatever is the amount of desired profit divided by contribution per unit or PV ratio. Are you getting this? How much is fixed cost in our example, beta? 4,50,000. Profit is 3,60,000. How much will be your desired contribution? That 8,10,000 divided by 90 rupees per unit. You will exactly come back to 9,000 units. At 9,000 units, you are making a profit of 3,60,000. Or if you divide it by PV ratio as such, beta, how much will that be? 13,50,000. You will write 8,10,000 divided by 60%. समझ में आ रहा है नहीं आ रहा है बेटा? भरत के बाजू बढ़ा, नाम भूल गया मैं. ब्लू जैकेट मनीष. हाँ मनीष अंदर हट जा बेटा पूरा. भरत ये तरफ है और आ थोड़ा. मनीष अंदर सरक ना. अभिषेक तू काटता क्या? नहीं. अरे नहीं बेटा, बस जस्ट कंफर्मिंग. देखो उससे डर लग रहा था. तेरी बॉडी देख, उसकी बॉडी देख बेटा. यस गाइस, आर वी ऑल क्लियर अबाउट दिस? राघव, so you will write beta 8,10,000 divided by 60%. That is how you're going to arrive at the amount of sales. Any doubt in this part? Understood guys? ये किसके लिए? Sales for a desired level of profit. If you just want to compute break even point, what are we going to do? Fixed cost divided by contribution per unit or PV ratio. That is how you're going to arrive at the answer. Anika, what is margin of safety? Yes बेटा. सुबह हो गया ऑलरेडी. अनिका, मार्जिन ऑफ डिड आई टीच मार्जिन ऑफ सेफ्टी गाइस? थोड़े बच्चे नो बोलने वाले थे, फिर सब लोग यस बोल रहे तो पढ़ाया ही होगा बोल के. ये यस बेटा, नो आइडिया. नेक्स्ट बेटा, नेटफ्लिक्स एंड चिल बोल. अरे उसका नाम आज से नेट, वो ब्रेक में आधा घंटा ही मिलती है ना. शेल्फ कौन सा सीजन देख रही है? क्या देख रही है? विश शो, स्ट्रेंजर थिंग्स. Did someone give you a challenge that you have to finish it in this week only? बोल के no no. Wish guys you were so passionate about your studies also. नहीं आज कुछ भी करके मार्जिनल कॉस्टिंग खत्म कर दूंगा बोल के मैं. हाँ मैं जो बोल रहा हूँ वो सिर्फ सुनने में अच्छा है ना. Please do not try such stunts at home. They should be done only under expert supervision. बोल के. Yes बेटा. Next खदी तू बोल बेटा. हाँ no idea. Next. He says guys margin of safety is the same as safety stock because they have a common word called as safety. Vedika, whatever additional sales beta that the organization is realizing above the break even point is called as margin of. How many of you remembered it? मतलब मालूम था this is margin of safety बोल के. Guys, how can we forget things like this beta? एग्जाम तक जाते जाते तो तुम लोग पेपर में लिखते तो विच पेपर बोल के डाउट आता तुम्हारे को. So all the additional sales that you are realizing guys over and above the break even sales will be called as margin of safety. तुम्हारा break even point remains constant, that does not change. Depending on total sales, margin of safety will keep changing. In this chapter we are not computing margin of safety in proportion, we will be computing margin of safety guys in absolute terms. If you want margin of safety in rupees guys, it will be total sales minus break even sales. When we were operating at a sales volume of 13,50,000 guys, my margin of safety was how much? 6 lakhs. Yes or no? Or if you want margin of safety in units guys, you know that your total units were 9,000 units and your break even point was how many units? 5,000 units. So your margin of safety beta is 4,000 units. Because you have already recovered guys the amount of fixed cost from your break even sales, whatever additional contributions that you get from margin of safety itself is the amount of profit. Margin of safety is not profit. It is the amount of contribution that you get from margin of safety guys, which is the amount of profit. So on mein aa raha hai, nahi aa raha hai? So to get the amount of profit guys, you can write 6 lakhs multiplied by 60%, or you can write 4,000 units multiplied by 90 rupees per unit, which is 3 lakh. This is the amount of profit that we got above. The multiple ways of arriving at the answer guys, but हाँ समझ में आया क्या बोल रहा हूँ? How do you compute the amount of profit guys using margin of safety? Contribution that you receive from margin of safety itself is the amount of profit. So MOS in rupees multiplied by PV ratio, or MOS in units multiplied by contribution per unit will give us the amount of profit. Any doubt in this part? Yes or no guys? समझ में आ गया? चलो guys, write a note guys. Irrespective of how they give information in the question, variable cost you will always write on a, do not ever mention variable cost on a totality basis. गलती क्या होती है बेटा? Whenever volume changes, no, you will not change total variable cost. The minute you write variable cost on a per unit basis, you will know that when volume changes, you will have to proportionately multiply beta by the revised volume, and you will end up changing the total variable cost. Fixed cost will always be written on a totality basis. Doesn't matter how the information is given. If they give fixed cost per unit, you convert that into total fixed cost. If they give total variable cost, you convert that into variable cost per unit. Because you are given the following particulars, beta. Calculate break even point and sales required to earn a profit of 20,000 using the given details. Selling price per unit is given as 30 rupees, variable cost per unit 15 rupees. Contribution per unit will become 15 rupees. Fixed cost is given on 1,50,000. We just have to compute break even sales and sales for a desired profit of 20,000 rupees. Simple. Do it. सपने बाद में देखो बेटा. Selling price per unit 30, variable cost per unit 15, contribution per unit 15. Total fixed cost guys is given as 1,50,000. First bit guys are asking us to compute break even point. You will write fixed cost divided by contribution per unit. Also write the answer in rupees. 10,000 units into 30 कर सकते हो. You do not have, मतलब you either write break even point in units multiplied by selling price per unit guys, or you write fixed cost divided by PV ratio. Our PV ratio guys will be 15 divided by 30 beta 50%. First bit का आंसर क्या रहेगा? Break even point, fixed cost divided by contribution per unit. 1,50,000 divided by 15 rupees, and that beta will be equal to 10,000 units. In rupees beta that will become 10,000 multiplied by 30 rupees beta 3 lakhs. या फिर fixed cost divided by PV ratio, जैसे लिखना है लिखो बेटा. In units it will be 10,000 beta. In rupees it will be 10,000 divided by 1,50,000 divided by 50%. Sales for a profit of 20,000. So you know that the contribution will now be equal to 1,70,000. So I'll write 1,70,000 divided by 15 rupees per unit. 11,333.33 units. That's 11,333 units. 20,000. So 1,50,000 guys plus 20,000 divided by 15 rupees. 11,333.33 units. Approximately 11,333 units. Are we clear about this? In rupees, if you want better, you can multiply that by this, or you can also write 1,70,000 divided by how much? 50%. That will be 3,40,000. If you're multiplying number of units by selling price, you might get a difference of 10 rupees. It will be 3,39,990. First bit, guys. Selling price per unit is given as 20 rupees. Variable cost per unit beta would be how much? 15 rupees. Contribution per unit is 5 rupees. If you want, you can write PV ratio. That will be 5 upon 20, guys. 25%. And what is the amount of fixed cost? 6,30,000. This is the amount of fixed cost. Sales is missing, profit is not given beta. Just let the sales value, or if you want in units, write in units. Or if the sales value beta is x rupees, sales value beta x rupees अगर है, तो profit कितना हो जाएगा? 10% of sales, that is 0.1x. Just prepare the profitability statement and that will be the answer, guys. You know that sales will be equal to fixed cost plus desired profit divided by PV ratio. X rupees is equal to 6,30,000 plus 0.1x divided by 25%. You will get 0.25x is equal to 6,30,000 plus 0.1x. You will get 0.15x is equal to 6,30,000. X beta will be equal to 6,30,000 divided by 15%. 42 lakhs. So your desired sales beta should be 42 lakhs. For you to make a profit of 10% on that, your profit will be 4,20,000. Whoever is taking X as the number of units, your desired profit should be 2x and not 0.1x. Because if you take X as number of units, your sales value beta will be 20x. Profit is 10% of 20x, that will be 2x. I repeat, whoever is taking X as the number of units, your desired profit should not be 0.1x, it should be 2x, 10% of 20x. Now equate in that equation better, get the answer. You will directly get X as 2,10,000 units. Guys, the same mistake, guys. Selling price per unit is not known. Variable cost per unit is 15. Contribution per unit is also not known. अगर कोई लिखा PV ratio is 25%, जूते खाएगा. When selling price per unit is changing, PV ratio does not remain constant. जिसको भी 21 rupees आ रहा है ना बेटा, you are increasing variable cost per unit from 15 rupees to 15.75. You are keeping PV ratio constant at 25%. I told you this, guys. Remember it as a rule. Whenever they say selling price per unit is changing, isn't selling price per unit changing here? PV ratio cannot remain constant. PV ratio has to change. Do not use PV ratio of 25%. समझ में आ रहा है नहीं आ रहा है, guys? Now you can write, guys, your break-even point should be 1,20,000 units. This will be equal to fixed cost divided by contribution per unit. My fixed cost is known, guys. It is 6,30,000. My contribution per unit will become how much? 5.25. Variable cost per unit will remain at 15 rupees only. Please do not increase that to 15.75. So my selling price per unit will be 20.25. वहां पे क्लियरली लिखना वो पीवी रेशियो विल नॉट रिमेन एट 25% बोल के. आई ऑलरेडी टोल्ड यू गाइस दैट प्रॉफिट इज नथिंग बट द कंट्रीब्यूशन दैट यू रिसीव फ्रॉम. Profit is nothing but the contribution that we get from MOS. Yes or no, kids? So my profit is 60,000 rupees, beta. I can write this as MOS in rupees multiplied by PV ratio. And you know that the PV ratio, guys, is how much? Now this will be in relation to the original question. MOS into 25%. MOS in rupees, beta, will be equal to 2,40,000. 60,000 upon 25%. So if the company wants a profit of 60,000 rupees, it will be operating at a margin of safety of 2,40,000. Clear, kids? Any doubt in this? There was this example that I gave you in the beginning, guys. Selling price 150, variable cost 60 rupees per unit, contribution 90 rupees per unit. Yes or no, guys? Now, let's say better that I do not give you all of those details, but I tell you that when my sales were 4,50,000, my profit was negative 1,80,000. वो starting वाला question, ये question में नहीं. Negative 1,80,000. When my sales were 9 lakh rupees, no 7,50,000, my profit beta was 0. And when my sales were 13,50,000, my profit was. If I just give you this information, guys, and leave it and ask you to compute the amount of variable cost and fixed cost, segregation of variable cost and fixed cost, the answer is very simple. From 4,50,000 to 7,50,000, my increase in sales is 3 lakh rupees, and my change in profit will obviously be on account of change in contribution. You have that entire income statement with you. From 4,50,000 to 7,50,000, guys, what is your increase in sales? Increase in sales beta is 3 lakh rupees. What is the change in profit? My profit is increasing by 1,80,000. Isn't my change in contribution also 1,80,000? Obviously your profit will change by 1,80,000 only if your contribution is changing by 1,80,000. समझ में आ रहा है क्या बोल रहा हूँ मैं इसमें? हाँ या ना? Indirectly it means 1,80,000 is the contribution of a sale of 3 lakhs. That incremental sales of 3 lakhs is giving me an incremental contribution of 1,80,000. So contribution of 3 lakh rupees worth of sale will be equal to 1,80,000. What will be your PV ratio? 60%. So that is change in profit divided by change in sales. This is what you have to write in the exam. But what is that change in profit? It is increase in contribution divided by increase in sales. This is what you're doing. Or alternatively, guys, when I shift from 7,50,000 to 13,50,000, my change in sales is, change in profit is 3,60,000. That itself will be change in contribution. So whenever they give us directly profit figures and sales figure, guys, how are we going to compute PV ratio? We know PV ratio is contribution divided by sales. Kuch bhi kar lo beta, this is not going to change. But instead of whether I do it on a per unit basis or whether I do it for any level of sales, the answer is going to remain same. So I'm writing change in profit, that itself is change in contribution divided by what? Change in sales. This will give us the amount of PV ratio. So we're going to use this in a lot of questions. So if PV ratio is not given and they give us two different profit levels, guys, or two different sales level, this is how we're going to compute PV ratio. Any doubt in this? Alright, guys, so we did the concept of break-even sales, cash break-even point, margin of safety, and the amount of sales that are required for a desired level of profit. So how do we compute? PV ratio, guys, is dependent on two factors. What are the two factors? Selling price per unit and variable cost per unit. These are the only two factors that will affect the amount of your PV ratio. Any of these two factors changes, guys, only then PV ratio will change. PV ratio does not depend on the total sales volume of the entity. And then, guys, break-even point will be equal to fixed cost divided by contribution per unit. In rupees, guys, you'll write fixed cost divided by PV ratio. Revise karo, warna class ke baad fekunga. Cash break-even point will be cash fixed cost divided by contribution per unit or divided by the amount of PV ratio, guys. After that beta और क्या किए थे, margin of safety is the excess sales over and above your break even point. So to arrive at margin of safety, you will take your total sales from that, deduct the amount of break even sales. Whatever is the contribution that you receive from margin of safety itself will be the profit figure. Therefore, margin of safety in rupees multiplied by PV ratio or margin of safety in units multiplied by contribution per unit will give us the amount of profit. Sales for a desired level of profit, you can directly write fixed cost plus desired profit divided by contribution per unit or the amount of PV ratio. Are we clear about this? What are the two homework questions? The following information is given by PQR Limited. They've given us sales for the year 2022-23, sales for the year 2023-24, guys. 1 crore 80 lakhs and 2 crore 40 lakhs. Profit or loss beta is 3 lakh 80,000 and 11 lakh 20,000. तू वापस आगे आके बैठ रहा है क्या यार? लेट आ रहा है, तुम लोग क्यों डिस्टर्ब कर रहे हो क्लास को? कल से माला लेके बाहर खड़ो बोलो क्या लोगों को? The stupid generation and their attitude. Yes, guys. Pick up change in sales beta, change in, arrive at the amount of your PV ratio. Normal question beta, just like the previous one. Directly pick up change in sales, guys. Arrive at the amount of PV ratio. PV ratio, I told you guys, is always change in profit divided by change in sales. Our change in profit, guys, is 11 lakh 20,000 minus 3 lakh 80,000 divided by 240 lakhs minus 180 lakhs. In the numerator, guys, you will have 15 lakhs divided by 60 lakhs. PV ratio kitna hai? 25%. You pick up any one sales value, guys. Let's say if the sales value is 240 lakhs, what should be the amount of contribution beta at this? 25% of sales, guys, that will be 60 lakhs. What is the amount of profit that we have at this level? 11 lakh 20,000. Therefore, fixed cost beta will be 48 lakhs 80,000. You can pick up any one sales level, guys, in order to arrive at the amount of contribution. Compare that with the amount of profit, guys. The differential figure is your fixed cost, which is 48 lakhs 80,000. Once we get the amount of fixed cost, guys, you can compute break-even sales. Break-even sales is going to be fixed cost divided by PV ratio. Our fixed cost is 48 lakh 80,000. PV ratio is 25%, but it will be 195.2 lakhs. In the second bit, guys, it says variable cost will go up by 5%. When they say variable cost will go up by 5%, are they referring to variable cost per unit or are they referring to total variable cost? They're obviously referring to variable cost per unit. Change can never be given in terms of total variable cost. So per unit variable cost is going to go up by 5%. You know, guys, that if I take the selling price as 100 rupees at present, my PV ratio is 25%, meaning my contribution would be 25 rupees contribution. Variable cost will be 75. That 75 rupees is going to go up by 5%. 78.75. My revised contribution with selling price remaining constant will be 21.25 or 21.25%. You pick up any selling price as the base, you're going to get the same relation. So earlier your PV ratio was 25%. Now you're going to take your PV ratio as 21.25%. The question says fixed cost will reduce by 4 lakh 80. उसके बाद का normal है guys एकदम. समझ में आया क्या बोला मैं? If guys existing selling price is how much? 100. I told you beta that your contribution was 25%, so that is how much? 25 rupees, and our variable cost would be 75. Now revised में वो क्या बोल रहा है? Variable cost will be 75 plus 5%, 78.75. We are keeping the selling price constant at 100. Our contribution, guys, will become 21.25. Based on this contribution of 21.25, our sorry guys, PV ratio beta will become 21.25 divided by 100, 21.25%. Fixed cost beta earlier was 48 lakhs 80,000. Now the fixed cost is reducing by, your revised fixed cost will be 48 lakh 80,000 minus 4 lakh 80,000, that is 44 lakhs. Desired profit guys is equal to 15 lakhs. So sales for a desired level of profit. Very good, beta. Proud of you guys. You might have to repeat that again because I was not paying attention. Jara, Ruk. 44 lakhs guys plus 15 lakhs divided by 21.25%. Now, this will be the amount of sales value guys that will be needed in order to make a profit of 15 lakh rupees. All if you read the 12th question, try to figure out the answer. Online students, try to figure out the answer. But if you're done with it, type and send the answers. Question is very clear guys, that your margin of safety in units is given, margin of safety in rupees is given. Can't we compute selling price using that guys? अपना जो first bit है selling price per unit, that is nothing but margin of safety in rupees divided by margin of safety in units. Margin of safety in rupees beta is given as 3,75,000. Margin of safety in units is given as 15,000 units. You will get a selling price of 25 rupees. Sales in unit, sales in value beta. Obviously, the ratio will give a selling price per unit. Once you get this beta, what next? Compute profit. In the order they've asked us to compute profit next, you will be able to compute profit using total cost and the amount of revenue that we have. We do not know how much is variable cost and fixed cost, but we do know what is the total cost. What is your total revenue beta? Total revenue guys will be, total sales are 20,000 units multiplied by a selling price of 25 rupees per unit. Our total sales or total revenue guys would be 5 lakhs. Our total cost beta would be 3,87,500. So obviously this difference guys will become my profit. This total cost is not just the cost of break-even sales, this is the cost of 20,000 units guys. So you compare that with the amount of total revenue and get the amount of profit. Now you can compute PV ratio. You know what is the relation between MOS and margin of safety guys. The contribution from margin of safety itself will be the amount of your profit. Margin of safety in rupees guys is given as 3,75,000. This multiplied by PV ratio guys will give us the amount of profit. And profit is 1,12,500. So your PV ratio guys will be equal to 30%. Using total revenue and total cost beta, we got the amount of profit. Using profit and contribution from this, I got the amount of PV ratio. Change in profit by, क्या change in profit? At 5,000 units, profit is 0. 20,000 units of profit मालूम है. 15,000 units of profit कितना है? Negative? बेटा cost will not remain constant. Total cost में variable cost भी है ना? Correct. Yes guys, how will you compute break-even sales? But you can directly write break-even sales as 5,000 units multiplied by 25 rupees per unit, and that beta will be equal to 1,25,000 rupees. And finally beta, how will you compute fixed cost? You know break even sales guys is equal to fixed cost divided by PV ratio. 1,25,000 is equal to fixed cost divided by 30% beta. Fixed cost will be equal to 37,500. Whatever we have done so far beta was break even point or arriving at the amount of sales guys for a single product. In case you have multiple products as such guys, how do we compute the amount of break even point? Let's say guys that there is product A and product B. Product A guys has a selling price per unit of 180 rupees. 180 rupees beta. Product B has a selling price per unit of 150. Variable cost per unit guys iska let us say is 90 rupees. So your contribution per unit beta would be 90. दूसरे वाले का variable cost per unit let's say beta is 90 rupees. So contribution per unit is 60 rupees. These are the amount of contribution per units. The fixed cost that we are incurring as such beta let's say is 4,50,000. Doesn't matter whether we sell product A or we sell product B, fixed cost is going to remain constant guys. The amount of fixed cost is going to remain at 4,50,000 rupees. Now whatever we did so far guys, in case only product A is sold, only product A is sold guys, what will be the amount of your break even point beta? You will write fixed cost divided by contribution per unit. You know that you have to recover a fixed cost of 4,50,000 divided by 90, that will be 5,000 units. Only product B is sold guys, what will be the break even? समझ में आ रहा है क्या कर रहा हूँ? Only product B is sold guys, our break even point will be equal to fixed cost divided by contribution per unit, 7,500. It doesn't matter guys which product are you selling, you will still have to incur a fixed cost of 4,50,000. If there's any product specific fixed cost, you cannot have a formula that will tell you what is the break even point. You will have to go as per the details, but you do not have such questions at least at this level as of now. Product specific fixed cost matlab, if I manufacture A, what will be the additional amount of fixed cost that I will incur? If I manufacture B, what is the additional amount of fixed cost that we will incur? Usko bolte product specific fixed cost. Can they give us details of product specific fixed cost at this level? No. Real life mein, yes, there can be product specific fixed cost also. So the amount of fixed cost is not going to remain constant guys, irrespective of the product that you sell. Now only product A is sold, the break even point is 5,000 units. Only product B is sold, the break even point is 7,500 units. Ohm. What will happen if I sell a combination of A and B? हाँ बेटा 12,500. If you sell 12,500 units guys, will you end up recovering 9 lakhs? Yes or no guys? Yes beta. Undoubtedly it cannot be 12,500 guys. It's like computing an average. The actual answer will lie somewhere between 5,000 and 7,500 units. Alright guys, it cannot be 6,250 as such beta. It will all depend on in what ratio are we selling these products. Higher the number of units of product A sold, the closer will be the value to 5,000 units. If you sell more of product B, the value will be closer to 7,500. So whenever there's a combination of products guys, the break even point will depend on the ratio in which the products are being sold. So in case guys I take product mix as, let's say 1:2 guys. Next question if I take product mix as 1:2, that means the number of units that will be sold as such guys will always be in the ratio of this 1 and 2. Are we clear? For every 3 units that I sell, there will be one of A and there will be, for every 3 units sold as such beta, there will be one of A and 2 of B guys. So if you're selling 1 unit of A, 2 units of B as such beta, what will be the contribution that I get from a batch of 3 units? Contribution beta from a batch of 3 units. ऊपर information लिखा है बेटा मैं, A is giving me a contribution of 90 rupees, B is giving me a contribution of, so it will be 1 of A and 2 of B. That will give me a contribution of 210. The break even point that I'm computing is not in units anymore, it is in batches. This will be equal to fixed cost divided by the amount of contribution per batch. Our fixed cost guys is 4,50,000 divided by 210. 2,000.857 guys. You'll get break even point in batches as 2142.857 batches. Are we getting it guys? Let's not forget that this comprises of 1 of A and 1 of B. This into 1 beta, approximately 2143 units of product A, and this into 2, 42, approximately 4286 units. So in order to break even, you will have to sell 2143 units of A and 4286 units of B. Are we understanding this? Yes or no guys? Alternatively, you can also compute weighted average contribution per unit. Rather than computing contribution per batch beta, you can compute contribution per and my weighted average contribution per unit beta would be 90 ka 1/3 plus 60 into 2/3. Isn't the ratio 1:2? So it will become 90 into 1/3, 60 into 2/3 guys. Your weighted average contribution is 70. Now when you compute break even point, it will not be in batches, it will be in units. You will write 4,50,000 upon 70 beta. 6,429 units. इसको अगर A और B में divide करना है, do not multiply, divide it in the ratio. 6,429 into 1/3, 6,429 guys into 2/3. Answer obviously should be same beta, 2,143 and 4,286. Our break even point in units guys is going to be this. Are we understanding? Total amount is 6,429. I already told you that the answer will always lie between 5,000 and 7,500 units. Yes or no guys? Sharath, you tell me better now. What if I take a sales mix of 3:1? Just in case you forgot, A is giving us a contribution of 90, B is giving us a contribution of 60 rupees per unit, and our common fixed cost that we are incurring beta is 4,50,000. What if I am selling units beta in the ratio of 3:1? You can either take what guys, a batch of 4 units, or you can compute weighted average contribution per unit. In case I take a batch of 4 units guys, what will be the amount of contribution that I get? Batch of 4 units agar liya, it will comprise of 3 of A and 1 of B. So my contribution per batch guys will become 3 multiplied by 90 plus 1 multiplied by 60 guys, 330 rupees. My break even point will come in batches better, and that will be 4,50,000 rupees divided by 330. 1,360 point 1.63 जरा ये बोलो ना यार, क्योंकि जब मल्टीप्लाई करेंगे वो वापस इंटू 3 इंटू 1 होने वाला है ना, वहाँ राउंड ऑफ कर देंगे, अच्छा रहेगा रादर देन राउंडिंग ऑफ हियर ओनली. 40 4090 90.8991 beta approximately. हाँ, and this beta will be 1364 units. These are the number of units that you're going to sell. Alternatively, what can we do beta? Compute weighted average contribution per unit. That will be nothing but 330 divided by 4. Remember, this is sales mix. That means the ratio in which the number of units are sold. You can never ever use this to compute weighted average PV ratio. PV ratio के लिए weights अगर चाहिए, that has to be sales in rupees, not sales in units, because PV ratio is applicable to revenue in rupees. Alright, so there is no way that we compute weighted average PV ratio using sales mix. You want to compute weighted average PV ratio, guys, उल्टा करना पड़ेगा. It is how many units of A? 3 units of A. Selling price of A was 180. Variable cost of A was 90. B का बेटा it was 1 unit of 150, 90 rupees. So your revenue here is 540, this is 270, contribution is 270, this is 150, this is 90, contribution is 60. My overall revenue is 690 rupees, my overall contribution is 330 rupees. My weighted average PV ratio, guys, will be equal to क्या बेटा 330 divided by 690, 47.83%. समझ में आ रहा है? I'm computing overall revenue, overall contribution, using which I'm arriving at my weighted average PV ratio. You cannot do it, guys, on the basis of units. Sales mix in units directly. मतलब first वाले का PV ratio 50% था बेटा, second वाले का 40% था. You cannot directly take in the ratio of 3:1. You will get 47.5% if you take it in the ratio of 3:1, but that is incorrect. You cannot directly consider it. So just remember one thing, that sales mix given, guys, will always be applicable to what? Sales in units, not sales in rupees. Are we clear? If they want us to compute weighted average PV ratio, कुछ नहीं करना है. Total revenue, total contribution. Simply go by the total column, you will get weighted average PV ratio. Is that clear, kids? Any doubt in this? एक second सुनो बेटा. So if I want my break-even sales in rupees, I cannot write fixed cost divided by 47.5%. I have to write fixed cost divided by 47.8826%. Can someone tell me the answer better? 9 lakhs 930 एक जना बोलो 911 940 911. This is the amount of revenue, guys, to break even. If I want to divide this in A and B, beta, what ratio should I divide in? Do not make that stupid mistake again. This is revenue in rupees, guys. These are not units. In the ratio of sales, which is 540 is to 150. 540 and 150 के ratio में divide होगा बेटा, ये not in the ratio. Guys, you have to always go back and check what ratio gave you that percentage. That 3:1 ratio did not give us that percentage. It was 540 and 190. Can you write beta 540 into 690? 7 lakhs 360. इतना डिटेल में कभी आया नहीं है बेटा, but just for our understanding दे दिया तो that's a concern. Into 150 divided by 690, guys. 540. If you divide this by the selling price per unit, beta, which is 180 rupees and 150 rupees, you will get the same units that you got earlier. This is 7,36,365 divided by 180 rupees. You will get number of units, beta, as 4091. And दूसरा वाला का beta same value. So when you get overall break-even sales in rupees, you cannot divide them in the ratio of units. You will have to again divide them only in the ratio of sales in rupees. Are we clear about this? क्या समझ में नहीं आया? फर्स्ट बेट कितना सिंपल है. 60% margin of safety. That means out of at present 100 rupees अगर sales है, आंसर बोल दो. You know what is the contribution per unit, guys? You know what is the amount of fixed cost? You can compute break-even point. Yes or no, guys? Once you get break even point, you will know total sales. Bold the answer. Rishikesh, type in the first bit. You know selling price per unit, you know variable cost per unit, but you can compute contribution per unit. Once you get that, you can compute break even sales. At present, we are operating at 60% margin of safety ante ante. 40% better of the sales are break even sales. We are operating at 60% margin of safety. That means total sales में से बेटा 60% margin of safety है और 40% break even है. जो भी तुम break even point compute कर रहे हो, that is 40% of total sales. You will get total sales. Break even sales कितना आया? 20,000 units. So total sales will be 50,000 units. Perfect बेटा. Just compute profit, deduct the amount of taxes, and then rate of net return on sales बोला है बेटा. You will divide that net return by the total amount of sales. Selling price per unit is 40 rupees, beta. Variable cost per unit is 16 rupees. How much is your contribution per unit? 24. We know the amount of fixed cost, guys, is 4,80,000. The first thing that we will do, beta, is compute break-even point, which will be fixed cost divided by contribution per unit. Our fixed cost is 4,80,000 divided by 24 rupees, beta. Our contribution would be, sorry, break-even point, beta, will be 20,000 units. The question tells us that we are operating at a margin of safety of 60%. That means, guys, break-even sales are at 40%. 60%, guys, of total sales is margin of safety. So 40% of total sales, guys, will be equal to your break-even point. Therefore, beta, your total sales, guys, will be equal to in units. ये जो तुम्हारे को 20,000 units आया है, that is now 40%. So that will become 50,000 units. Once you get total sales as 50,000 units, present profitability statement at 50,000 units, guys. Our sales beta will be equal to 50,000 units multiplied by a price of how much? 40 rupees, and that beta would be 20 lakhs. Variable cost you will have to deduct. Contribution is 50,000 units multiplied by 24 rupees, and that beta will be 12 lakhs. From this beta will deduct fixed cost of 4,80,000. You will get operating profit, guys, or EBIT, profit before tax, which is 7,20,000. From this I'll directly deduct a tax of how much? 40%. You will get 4,32,000 as your net return, guys, after tax. This is your net operating profit after tax, guys. I can just write PAT. So my net return on sales, guys, would be 4,32,000 is what you will generate post tax basis on a revenue of 20 lakhs. So your return beta would be 21.6%. First two products that we have, X and Y. Selling price per unit of X, guys, was already given 40 rupees. Y is selling at a price of 50 rupees. Variable cost per unit beta was 16 and 10. Contribution per unit beta would be 24 and 40. Sales mix, guys, is given as 7:3. Contribution, guys, per batch of 10 units, or you can also write weighted average contribution beta. Per batch of 10 units will be 724s and 340s, guys. 724s is 168 and 120, 288. Correct, guys? Your break-even point in batches beta will now be equal to fixed cost divided by contribution per batch. Our fixed cost is 6,66,600 divided by 288. 2,358 batches beta. This multiplied by 7 and into 3, guys, will become X and Y. 16,202. 2314.58, guys, multiplied by 3. 944. This will be the number of units, guys. Please check. Compute contribution per batch beta and get the answer. हाँ, in rupees भी पूछा वो. Multiply this by selling price per unit guys and write in rupees. नहीं, जरूरत नहीं है, पागल हो गया क्या गाइस? इन रुपीस यहीं पे करो बेटा, पूरा पीवी रेशियो एंड ऑल करने की जरूरत नहीं है, बावले हो गए छोरे, करने की जरूरत ही नहीं है बेटा, ख्यालात मिल रहे हैं। कितना है बेटा? 16,202 इंटू 40, 6,48,080। अरे छोड़ बे, 3 रुपीज तेरा। 6,944 इंटू 50, 200। Online students, we're continuing with costing. I'll explain the concept of break-even chart, guys. We did not solve those 3 questions in between, question 18, 19 and 20. We'll finish them. Look at question number 18, guys. I'll be explaining the concept along with the question itself. Question number 18. Online students, the screen will go blank for a second. Faraz, question पे ध्यान दे। Now, in order to plot or prepare a break-even chart, guys, you will need details of volume that will come on x-axis, and total cost or total revenue, guys, will come on y-axis. So, variable cost beta is 60%, fixed cost is given as 30,000, net profit 10,000, sales 1 lakh. We will assume some selling price per unit here so that we are able to plot volume on x-axis. Otherwise, we will not be able to prepare a break-even chart. One second, beta. Something's very important. So, we can all compute the amount of break-even point, PV ratio and margin of safety, guys, using the given details here. एक बार बोलो, question number 18. The total amount of sales given, guys, are how much? 1 lakh. I'm assuming that the selling price per unit beta is 100. Assume selling price per unit is 100, guys. So your total variable cost कितना है? 60,000. The amount of contribution beta that we have is 40,000. The amount of fixed cost beta is 30,000, and the amount of profit is 10,000. Sales 1 lakh, variable cost 60,000, contribution 40,000, fixed cost 30,000, guys, and profit is 10,000 rupees. The number of units, guys, at this level, if you assume selling price to be 100 rupees per unit beta, will be how many units? 1 lakh divided by 100, you will have 1000 units. What will be your variable cost per unit beta? 60,000 rupees divided by how many units? 1000 units. Your variable cost would be 60 rupees. You always write variable cost on a per unit basis. You write fixed cost beta on a totality basis. Are we clear about this? Yes or no? Now, guys, in order to compute break-even point, you will write fixed cost divided by contribution per unit. You will write fixed cost beta is how much? 30,000 rupees. Contribution per unit would be 40 rupees. How much will this be beta? 750 units. Your PV ratio, guys, here would be 40,000 divided by 1 lakh, that is 40%. Break even point अगर rupees में होना है तो कितना हो जाएगा? 75,000. 30,000 divided by 40% or 750 units multiplied by 100 rupees. Yes or no, kids? और क्या क्या पूछा वो वहाँ पे? First bit में PV ratio, PV ratio, guys, margin of safety. How much will be margin of safety? 1 lakh minus 75,000. How much will that be? 25,000. Margin of safety guys is 25,000. Are we clear about this? अभी बेटा ये हो गए अपने basic bits. In order to arrive at break-even chart, we will have to plot volumes, we will have to plot total revenue, total cost, variable cost, fixed cost, all of them on a graph. You will not get any U-shaped curves here as such better, because we all assume that there's a linear relationship. Your variable cost per unit remains constant, your total fixed cost remains constant. They do not change, all of them remain constant. In order to plot any graph as such better, any line, you will need 2 points. जैसे वेरिएबल कॉस्ट की अगर बात कर रहा हूँ बेटा मैं, यू नो वेरिएबल कॉस्ट पर यूनिट इन आवर एग्जाम्पल इज हाउ मच? 60 rupees. I need 2 points better at which I can plot the total values. If I manufacture and sell 0 units, what will be my total variable cost? 0 rupees. If I manufacture and sell 500 units, 30,000. If you manufacture and sell 1,000 units, guys, it will be 1,000 multiplied by 60. That will be 60,000. Your fixed cost, guys, is 30,000. That does not change with a change in output. Your total cost beta will be 30,000, 60,000, and 90,000. This will be the amount of total cost. Total revenue, guys, is how much per unit? 100 rupees per unit. How much will be your total revenue, guys, at all of these levels? 0. यहाँ पे लिख रहा हूँ बेटा मैं 100. I don't need 3 volume levels. It's just for your understanding, guys. Any 2 volume levels are sufficient, guys, in order to arrive at the amount of. नहीं बंदर गया शायद वहाँ से अभी. और हमें मैं एक बार पर्दा खुल के देख सही में बंदर है क्या भेजा? गया नीचे या नहीं है? It just went, guys. हाँ. I'm not imagining, but or I'm imagining. Can you please copy it now? We need to plot all of these values on a graph, guys. Identify the break-even point on the graph. All right. As I told you guys, on x-axis we're going to take volume, on y-axis we're going to take total cost or revenue. I'll take a scale of 100 units, guys, on x-axis. So that'll be 100, 200, 300 units, 400, 500, and so on. What is your total revenue, guys? Minimum कितना, maximum कितना जो अपन लिखे ऊपर? 0 and 1 lakh. So on y-axis, guys, I'm going to take a scale of 10,000. You will have 10,000, 20,000. 30,000, 40,000, 50,000, so on. So this is your revenue or cost, guys, on y-axis. This is the amount of volume, guys, on x-axis. Our fixed cost, guys, is going to remain constant no matter what is the volume. Yes or no? So our fixed cost is going to be a straight line as such, guys, parallel to x-axis, because your fixed cost remains at 30,000. Our variable cost, guys, is 0 at 0 units. This is that point better. Our variable cost is 30,000 rupees at a volume of 500. This is that point. Can you see? And our variable cost is 60,000, guys, at a volume of 1,000 units. If you join these 2 points, these points are such, guys. थोड़ा ऊपर नीचे हो रहा है. इसको यहाँ पे शिफ्ट कर दो. This is your variable cost. Are we all clear about this, guys? Your total cost beta will start from 30,000. At 500 units, your total cost is 60,000, guys, and at 1,000 units, your total cost is 90,000. So this will be your total cost curve. Correct? Are you all following, guys? Fixed cost, total cost, variable cost. Now, as far as your total revenue is concerned, at 0 units, your revenue is 0. At 500 units, the revenue is 50,000, guys. At 1,000 units, the revenue is 1 lakh. You already know better that the break-even point should occur at what point? 750. Just ensure guys that the total revenue curve cuts the total cost curve at an output of 750 units. How do we know that? ऊपर compute किए थे बेटा. Break even point is 750 units. This will be your total revenue curve. ये हो गया अपना break even chart. The point of break even chart is to show total revenue, total cost, show the amount of break even point. Are we getting break even point here? Break even point will be the point at which the total revenue line cuts the total cost curve. The entire amount as such guys of difference between total revenue and total cost guys post this will become the amount of profit. The same difference guys prior to the break even point will become your loss zone. If they ask us to compute or show contribution guys, it will be the difference between the amount of total revenue and variable cost. As you keep increasing the amount of sales, your contribution will keep increasing. From total revenue, if you deduct the amount of variable cost, you're going to get the amount of contribution. समझ में आया ये? Now there's one term called as angle of incidence. Angle of incidence guys is the angle between the total revenue line and total cost line after the break even point. The angle made as such guys by total revenue line with the total cost line after the break even point is called as angle of incidence. ये angle जितना बड़ा रहेगा बेटा उतना ही ज़्यादा profit रहेगा. If this angle is very narrow as such guys, very small, then the amount of profit will be very less. If obviously this angle is wider as such better, then the amounts of profits will be higher. Are we clear about this? Any doubt in this? Sadhya ho gaya beta, this did not come in the examination, but we still have to learn it. Are we clear? This is your break-even chart. Karo beta sab log. Question number 30 guys. They've given us sales as 8 lakh rupees for the year 2013 beta. They've given us PV ratio as 50%. They've given us margin of safety as a percentage of total sales 40%. Sales are given 8 lakhs, PV ratio 50%, margin of safety as a percentage of total sales is 40%. Will we be able to compute the amount of fixed cost, compute the amount of profit? We know PV ratio, we know break even sales, we know margin of safety. सब कुछ मिल जाएगा for the current year. हाँ या ना guys? Margin of safety का जो भी contribution आता है, that itself will be the amount of your profit. And then whatever is a contribution that you get guys from break even sales itself will be the amount of your fixed cost. For the next year guys, we do not know the total amount of sales. We do know that the PV ratio is 37.5% while margin of safety is 21.875% of the total sales. There has been a substantial saving in the amount of fixed cost in the year 2014 due to restructuring process. The company could maintain its sales quantity level of 2013 and 2014 also by reducing selling price. You're required to calculate the following. What will be the sales for the year 2014, fixed cost for the year 2014, break-even sales for the year 2014. All the information that is needed is for the next year. ठीक है? All yours, beta. In the year 2013, as such, beta, sales were 8 lakh rupees. The question says better that the PV ratio is how much? 50%. So the total amount of contribution as such guys will be 50% of that, that is 4 lakh rupees. Variable cost as such beta is also how much? 4 lakhs. Sales is 8 lakhs guys, variable cost is 4 lakhs and the amount of contribution guys is 4 lakh rupees. We know that the total sales quantity guys is same in the next year. So that is your hint. Using that as such guys, you will be able to arrive at the total amount of variable cost for the next year. This itself should be your total variable cost for the next year. Why? No change in quantity. Because there is no change in quantity guys, total variable cost is going to remain constant. Are we clear? We do know beta for the next year PV ratio is how much? 37.5%. That means variable cost ratio would be 62. If 4 lakhs is 62.5%, how much is 100%? 6 lakhs 40,000 rupees. 6,40,000 guys will be the total amount of sales. Are we clear about this? एक बार वो आ गया बेटा, you will get all the details for the next year. The only hint in the entire question is arriving at the fact that there's no change in total quantity guys. मनन हो गया तेरा पूरा? So the sales beta would be 4 lakhs. Nah, 4 lakhs divided by 62.5%. This will be how much? 6 lakhs 40,000. एक बार ये आ गया बेटा, you know contribution for the next year is 2 lakh 40,000. Use those margin of safety guys as a percentage of total sales and PV ratio in order to compute the amount of profit and fixed cost for the next year. समझ में आया नहीं आया? 6 lakhs 40,000 में बेटा, how much will be margin of safety? 21.875% guys. How much is 21.875? 1,40,000. How much will be break even sales beta? 5 lakhs. What will be the contribution from MOS guys? 37.5% of that. 52,000. How much will be the contribution from that 5 lakhs? 5 lakhs into 37.5%. 187. So ये हो गया तुम्हारा profit, ये हो गया तुम्हारा fixed cost. These are the details for the next year. Once you figure out that the total amount of variable cost is going to remain constant guys, using sales for the next year, using margin of safety beta, you will get the amount of profit, and using break even sales you will get the amount of fixed. We all know beta that the contribution from break even sales is nothing but the amount of fixed cost. Likewise the contribution guys from MOS is nothing but the amount of profit. This question originally came in CA final some 15-20 years ago. After that, as beta, it was given in your test, but then it came in the examination once in CA Inter also. Long back, 2016 या 15 में एक बार exam में आ चुका था. A pharmaceutical company produces formulations having a shelf life of 1 year. The company has an opening stock of 20,000 boxes as on 1st of Jan 2016. Is expected to produce 1,50,000 boxes, and the production in the last year was 1,20,000 boxes. Last year we produced 1,20,000. Current year we are going to produce 1,50,000 boxes. Expected sale would be 1,60,000 boxes in the current year. Not relevant, because we are going to compute break-even point. You either give us the volume, ask us to compute profit, or you tell us what profit do you want and we will compute volume. You cannot tell us that this is the volume. Now you compute what should be the volume. Are we clear guys? So expected sales would be 1,60,000 boxes. Costing department has worked out an escalation in cost by 25% on variable cost and 10% on fixed cost. श्रेयशी कौन से लाइन में बेटा पढ़ रही है ना क्वेश्चन? %25% guys increase in variable cost and 10% increase in fixed cost. Over what? Last year obviously. Fixed cost for the year 2015 beta was 60 rupees per unit. That's last year. New price for the current year is 300 rupees. You are required to compute break-even volume for the current year. Variable cost is, in the last year was 180 per unit. If you've already figured out the answer guys, please relax. Doubt hai, bolo. Profit earned in previous year. No, beta. It has nothing to do with that. Last year's profit is last year's profit beta. Current year's profit is current year's profit. उसके ऊपर प्रॉफिट कुछ नहीं है ना बेटा, उसको करंट ईयर में बेच के प्रॉफिट कमाएगा. हाँ वो लेगा ना, ऑब्वियसली लेगा. गाइस, you have all the details available with you. The only new point that we are learning here guys is that there is an opening stock. All right, you should figure out how to arrive at the amount of break even point with that opening stock. Pay attention now. Others are no less better. Okay? Just that we might not have thought about this in the right direction. That's it. Now, last year, guys, के बारे में बात करते हैं. 2015. Our variable cost per unit was 180 rupees. You're not supposed to copy, you're supposed to pay attention. Fixed cost per unit was 60. I've told you one thing, that whenever fixed cost is given on a per unit basis, it is our job to convert that into total fixed cost. What was the production in the last year, guys? The only reason behind giving production for the last year beta is to arrive at total fixed cost. So my total fixed cost of the last year beta would be 70. सुन लो guys, अभी मार खाओगे वरना. 2016 guys, your fixed cost beta, when they give increase, will they give it increase on a per unit basis or a totality basis? Fixed cost is always on a totality basis, variable cost is always on a per unit basis. Fixed cost 72 lakhs plus 10% beta 70. Yes or no guys? Your variable cost per unit in the current year guys will be 180 plus 25%, 200 and now guys, we know that fixed cost to be recovered is 79 lakhs 20,000. I cannot divide that by 75 rupees directly and write the break even point as 1,05,600. I will first sell opening stock. Opening stock का selling price per unit 300, variable cost per unit 180, already manufactured. क्या yes sir साले कैसे wrong है फिर इसके आगे देखो. So your total contribution that you are getting from sale of opening stock will be 120 multiplied by 20,000 units. How much will that be? निकालो उसको. You will first recover 24 lakhs. Get done with it. What is the balance fixed cost to be recovered? Balance fixed cost to be recovered beta is 55 lakhs 20,000. This balance fixed cost to be recovered as such beta 55 lakhs 20,000 rupees will be recovered from the current year's production. Current year's production guys, contribution per unit is 75 rupees. 300 minus 225. What are the number of units to be produced and sold in the current year? Number of units to be produced and sold guys will be 55 lakhs 20,000 divided by 75. 73,000. My break even point is 93,600. 20,000 opening stock पहले बेचना है. फिर current year में I have to produce and sell 73,600. My break even point 93,600. This is why sales is irrelevant. सब समझ में आ देखो. You either give me expected sales, I will compute profit, or you tell me profit is 0, which is break even point. I will compute how many units are required to be sold. Sales mix का logic will not apply here as such beta. You will have to compulsorily sell the opening stock first. Get done with it. It's a perishable product. It has a shelf life of only 1 year guys. After that you will produce products in the current year and then recover profit from it. Are you all getting this? Yes or no? The next set of questions are all based on application of CVP analysis guys for short-term decision making. This is the part as such guys wherein I told you a lot of questions are slowly getting shifted as such guys from CA final to CA intermediate. We are really not sure whether they will continue to do that because in the examination papers yet as such but the questions are simple only. But in the RTPs as such guys they're slowly including questions, but RTP हमेशा costing का ऐसा ही रहा है बेटा. Among all the subjects RTPs, costing RTP is always one beta that's always full of surprises. It's basically because they have a huge bank of questions from which they can copy. Accounts में कुछ नया नहीं रहेगा. They've exhausted everything, so the questions are repetitive in RTPs and MTPs of accounts guys. But FM and costing are subjects wherein there's always a possibility of a new question coming up. We cannot always go by RTPs also because they are not the standard questions that come in the exam. Doesn't matter guys, they're all very simple, they're still common sense guys, nothing difficult, nothing complicated. So when you say application of CVP analysis for short-term decision making guys, I was talking about this guys in the beginning for us. Please stop staring better like that. I was talking about this guys in the beginning. I said over a shorter period the intent of any organization guys will be to recover their variable cost. Fixed cost over a shorter period is not relevant for decision making. If the reason behind fixed cost not being relevant for decision making over a shorter period as such guys is because there's nothing that you can do. Irrespective of the decision that you take as such, guys, the cost is going to remain constant. Over a longer period, guys, entities will be hell-bent on recovering the amount of fixed cost also. That is one place where CVP analysis helps in short-term decision making. The other one, beta, is if cost can be identified and you know what truly is variable in nature, what truly is fixed in nature, you will be able to take decisions for long-term cost efficiencies also. When you say long-term cost efficiency as such, beta, it is about deciding whether you should manufacture a product or should you outsource it. If the cost of manufacturing is much higher as such, beta, than outsourcing, entities would prefer to directly outsource it rather than manufacturing the product themselves. कोई भी decision लेना है, whether it is about buying a component, guys, or outsourcing it. So I was reading an article wherein it said that cement manufacturers as such, guys, have their own coal mines because they need a regular supply of coal so that it can be used to power their plants as such better. That is that decision. It might not be strictly based on cost constraints, but it is more about the availability of the material, guys, at the right time. Entities take strategic decisions as such better on financial and non-financial considerations. Apple does not believe in manufacturing. Apple says just outsource everything better. The only thing that they own would be their designing department, and plus they own the technology as such, guys. The high-end machineries that are required are leased out by Apple to the job workers. उसके related ही अभी जो लफड़ा चल रहा है, they want Indian entities as such better to exempt Apple from the taxation, ये जो because they want to lease out those equipments to Indian job workers. There's a good case that is going on as such better. But anyways, so everyone has their own plan as such better, whether they have to manufacture or whether they have to outsource. कोई भी decision लेना है, there's one thing for sure, you should know what cost is directly attributable to it. If you do not know what costs are directly attributable to it, you will never be able to take a decision. This is where again marginal costing helps us. Marginal costing, guys, will help us in identifying. कुछ कर रहा है बेटा राघव? I can stop. I'll explain later. नहीं कर. Marginal costing, guys, will help us in identifying what is variable, what is fixed. Better cost identification. This is where CVP analysis helps in decision making, both long-term as well as short-term decision making. Short-term decision making is never strategic decision making. Long-term decision making is strategic decision making. You learn in strategic management or elsewhere as such that organizations believe in 3 E's. There's always economy in operations as such, efficiency and effectiveness. But it's always economy, efficiency and effectiveness. Though we use this 3E concept as such more with related to non-profit organizations or government expenditure. Economy as such is the rate at which you are procuring your resources. Efficiency is the rate at which it is getting converted into output. Effectiveness is the output, is it serving the purpose or not? So if government is spending money on education as such economy would be the amount of money that they're spending on, let's say, teachers, infrastructure as such Efficiency will be the number of students who are being covered. Effectiveness is, are those students actually gaining knowledge? Are they ready for the outside job market? Namesake education बोल के अगर कर दिए खत्म करे, but then the effectiveness is zero, there's no point. Just one survey that was conducted in Africa, there's huge amount of foreign funding that comes for education, huge amount of foreign funding. They found out as such that 88% of the students were not able to perform the basic maths equations, additions, and these were the students who were in 9th or 10th class. He says, you're talking about economy of operations, you're talking about efficiency of operations. Where the hell is effectiveness? मतलब तुम खर्चा कर रहे हो left, right and center, but then it's not serving the end goal. If it is not serving the end goal as such, there's absolutely no point. Let's say, guys, there's winter going on, you want to, help people as such, guys. That's why you buy blankets and distribute it. But when you're going to blankets as such, you've remembered, sir, bole economy of operations, bolke. Instead of buying a blanket of 400 rupees, you buy a blanket of 100 rupees. You distribute it as such, guys, and you cover a lot of people. Instead of covering, let's say, 50 people, you've covered 5,000 people. But then those blankets are useless. It doesn't serve the purpose only. There's economy, there is efficiency. There is no every organization, guys, whenever it takes decision, they will evaluate all the three points. It is not just about the rate at which you're buying. See, guys, let's say to reduce the overall cost, you're buying the cheapest available raw material in the market. What is the bloody point, huh? If it is not serving the end goal, the quality of the end product is going to reduce as such, guys. The sales are going to reduce. It is not just about economy of operations, it is also about the effectiveness. So organizations, whenever they take those decisions, beta, will evaluate all the three. Are we clear? Economy, efficiency, and effectiveness. So this is where, beta, ये जो अपना है CVP analysis, it will at least help us in identifying economy and efficiency. We will not be able to evaluate effectiveness of it, but at least we will know whether the inputs that the organization is procuring, is it at the least possible cost or not. Are we clear about this? Yes or no, beta? There can be decisions like, should you buy a product, make or buy, or should you manufacture, usually in relation to your components. Organizations might want to manufacture as such, guys, few components. They might want to outsource few components. On what basis are they taking a decision? Obviously financial considerations, guys, and the availability of the material as and when you want it. There can be questions on limiting factor. What if, guys, your overall machining capacity or labor capacity is a limitation? You do not have sufficient capacities to manufacture all the products, the demand. Because you do not have sufficient capacities as such, guys, it is resulting, you will not be able to cater to the entire demand. You will have to now decide which products should be manufactured, which products should not be manufactured. How do you decide that? Again, for that purpose, beta, you will need cost allocation. CVP analysis will help us in doing that. जैसे guys, अभी no one saw this coming, but SSD, ये तुम्हारे hard disk रहते हैं. Those hard disks as such, guys, last year 1 TB external hard disk was available for 5,000. Apparently now it is available at 10 to 14,000. The reason behind this, beta, is heavy infrastructure by AI. They need these huge data warehouses as such, guys. They're buying huge amount of storage space. There are only and only 3 major players in the market. They're diverting the entire production to these players. No availability only as such, beta, in the market. Apparently China में तो नया रूल आ गया, one retailer will get, मतलब if a customer is coming, they will get only one disk. They will not be willing to sell more than that. इतना ज़्यादा shortage आ गया है. So limiting factor इसको ही बोलते हैं बेटा. When you do not have sufficient capacities to cater to the entire demand, so it can be make or buy, it can be limiting factor as such, beta. It can be shut down, to decide whether temporarily should you shut down the operations or not. The demand for the product is not very high. Because the demand is not very high as such, beta, you might want to shut down your operations for a temporary period, because there is nothing that you can do, beta, with respect to fixed cost. Correct, beta, Srinivas? I know you're listening. Huh? There's nothing, beta, that you can do with amount to the fixed cost. They can be product mix decisions, deciding which product should be manufactured, which product should be, should you discontinue. Yeah, even if you do not have limiting factor, guys, sometimes products may not be viable, they are loss making, guys, and that is why you might want to discontinue that product line altogether. All of these are the decisions that are taken on the basis of cost. This is where CVP analysis helps. Are we clear? For all of them, you should know what is relevant cost and what is irrelevant cost. It will learn about the concept of wherever there is decision making, relevant and irrelevant will come into picture. There was this one question, guys, in which they had allocated fixed cost. I said consider it because the objective is to arrive at profitability. Had it been decision making, I wouldn't have considered allocated fixed cost. Overall fixed cost, nahi. Allocated fixed cost wouldn't have been considered, guys. Specific fixed cost, definitely yes. So doesn't matter which product are we talking about, relevant cost, guys, usually will always be variable cost. It will be the amount of product specific fixed cost. If you manufacture only, then you will incur variable cost. Product specific fixed cost ka matlab? You will incur this only if that particular product is being taken up. If that particular product is not manufactured, you're not going to incur that product specific fixed cost. Let's say Varad is an expert as such, guys, when it comes to manufacturing of product A. Now Varad will remain in the organization only as long as product A is being manufactured. If the company plans to discontinue product A, obviously you will not incur the amount of salary that is being paid to him. Will that become product specific fixed cost? Yes. So whenever we talk about relevant cost, we should take only variable cost. We will take in product specific fixed cost. Common fixed cost, allocated fixed cost will never be relevant for decision making. And if there is a capacity constraint, there will also be opportunity cost. I repeat, if there is a capacity constraint, you will have. That means if I want to take up any order, if I want to manufacture any product, I will have to forego some other product. Isn't there some amount of profit that you're foregoing on that? You will have to ensure that you recover that profit from the new product. I've given all of these examples when I was explaining relevant and irrelevant cost beta starting mein. समझ में आ रहा है? Are we all clear about this? Is this clear beta? Now, moving on to the first decision, guys, that is limiting factor or key factor. Also known as a bottleneck resource, but we preferably do not use the word bottleneck resource here. You will use this word when we do theory of constraints. MBA करे तो करोगे तुम लोग, वरना नहीं, अपने syllabus में नहीं है theory of constraints. So limiting factor or key factor, guys, is any factor of production that puts a limitation on the overall number of units that can be manufactured and sold in the market. Any factor of production beta that is putting a limitation on the number of units that can be manufactured and sold in the market is called as a limiting factor. Are we clear about this? Usually, guys, limiting factor will be machining capacities. Just I told you beta, right now there is a increased demand for those hard disk, and that is why beta the prices have increased. So ये जो Samsung है या Micron है beta, जो भी है who's manufacturing these units, they cannot increase capacities overnight. If they want to increase those machining capacities also as such beta, it is going to take a considerable amount of time. So for them, machining capacity is going to be a limiting factor, or if they have sufficient machining capacities, it can also be the availability of raw materials as such beta for those products. What if raw materials are not available? समझ में आ रहा है नहीं आ रहा है? If raw materials are not available, that raw material availability will become a limiting factor. When you write an examination as such beta, time is a limiting factor. If you know all the answers. If you do not know all the answers beta, time is never a limiting factor. You have built a company which has a machining capacity of 1 lakh hours as such beta, the product that we are manufacturing is so amazing that the demand is 1 unit. Machining is not a limiting factor. Are you all understanding this? If there is any factor of production as such beta, capital cannot be a limiting factor as of now. I'm doing costing. When I do FM beta, I'll tell you what if capital becomes a limiting factor. वहाँ पे we have that concept covered. यहाँ पे everything other than capital. So it can either be raw material availability, it can be number of machine hours, or it can be number of labor hours. Can there be more than one limiting factor? Definitely yes. We do not have that covered in our syllabus. Because if you have more than one limiting factor, guys, the solution is either arrived using an operational research technique. Very nice technique, but then we do not have that. Or graphical method. The ones that you've done, guys, in your CA foundation under linear programming. You will have to form all the inequalities and graph it, and then based on the graph corner points, optimum solution will lie. So, वो रहेगा beta the actual way of solving it. अरे foundation में I've told you what is limiting factor and key factor, as well as explaining linear programming. Correct. Same limiting factor beta, कोई नया नहीं है. Foundation to CA enter limiting factor did not grow. So, limiting factor is a factor of production that is putting a limitation on the total number of units. Remember, we are only covering those cases wherein there is only single limiting factor. Are we clear about this? We do not have more than one limiting factor. There will be one question in which there will be more than one limiting factor. But in that question, we cannot manufacture combination of products. The question is very clear that you can manufacture only one product. So I will not need a graph to arrive at the solution. We will be able to directly arrive at the answer. Is that clear, guys? Let's say beta that there are 3 products A, B, C. Yashwant, you will answer beta. The demand for product A is 3000 units. The demand for product B is 5000 units. The demand for product C beta is 2000 units. The number of machine hours that you need to manufacture product A beta is 10 hours. The number of machine hours that you need to manufacture product B is 2 hours. The number of machine hours that you need to manufacture product C is 5 hours. Now, Yashwant, what will be the total requirement of machine hours beta? Total requirement of machine hours. 30,000, 10,000 and 10,000. Correct, guys? 3000 units multiplied by 10 hours, 5000 units multiplied by 2 hours, and 2000 units multiplied by 5 hours. 50,000. అన్ని 10 తోనే మల్టిప్లై చేసినావా? उसका एग्जांपल लूँ बेटा मैं. The total machine hours required, guys, will be 50,000. 30,000 plus 10,000 plus 10,000. Machining will become a limitation if the availability is less than 50,000 hours. If the availability beta is more than 50,000 hours, machining capacity will not be a limiting factor. समझ में आ रहा है बेटा मनोज? कौन है तेरे पीछे जो मुंह छुपा के बैठा है? बेटा निशान, do you want to go out? Can you move a little, or you can pick up your bag and leave immediately? So the availability of machine hours, guys, if it is less than 50,000, then machining will become a limiting factor. Otherwise, machining will not be a limiting factor. Let's say better that the total number of machine hours available are only 35,000. Obviously, better I have to make machining as a limiting factor because I'm explaining. So sad. Yes, guys. So machining will be a limiting factor here. I will not be able to manufacture and sell 3,000, 5,000 and 2,000 units. All right. Now, if machining is a limiting factor as such, better, let us say the amount of contribution that you are getting on a per unit basis from product A, guys, is 60 rupees. From product B, 20 rupees, guys, and from product C, let's say it is 45. This is the amount of contribution, guys, that we are getting on a per unit basis. All right. And fixed cost allocated, guys. Fixed cost that is allocated on a per unit basis. Let us say better here it is 30 rupees. Here it is 10 rupees and here it is 25 rupees. So my profit per unit, guys, should be 30, 10 and 20. These are the details, guys, available with you. Okay? Now, Nishant, you tell me better, which product is the company going to manufacture? The company is going to manufacture product A. Correct, beta Nishant? Yes. Why do you think the company is going to manufacture product A first? Higher? Very good. Higher profit. That is what will result in the company selecting product A. Srinivas. Sleepyhead. Yes, beta. I know you were not sleeping. Your eyes were. Bas. Which one first पूछा मैं? बस है. हाँ? A first. Very good, guys. Yes, beta Hassan. You will? हाँ, chapo. B first. Why B? Less time to produce and you can increase your, but less time to produce matlab kya? What if it was 3 hours? Still B only? Huh? What if it was 4 hours? Until and unless it is less than 10 hours. This is exactly how beta you should not answer. First, beta. आ गया. बहुत लोग आंसर बोल दिए जरा रुक बेटा. Sujal has got the answer, guys. How many of you got the answer? Will you prefer product A first, product B first, or product C first? हाँ बेटा, A first. Sujal, कितना है बेटा? किसमें ज़्यादा है? First thing that you should learn, beta, is that profits cannot be considered. Fixed cost is irrelevant for decision making. So if you take any decision on the basis of profit per unit, guys, I'll ask you to come out, slap you, and send you back. You were answering something, Sujal? Guys, ये fixed cost per unit time pass में लिखा बेटा. मैं हर बैच में लिखता भी नहीं है. ये पहली बार ऐसे लिखा क्योंकि मेरे को मालूम था तुम लोग consider करने वाले हो. I started my discussion, guys, with stating the fact that fixed cost will not be relevant unless it is product specific. And while writing fixed cost per unit, I said it is allocated fixed cost. Did I? हम थोड़ी केस सॉल्व कर रहे हैं सर, ऐसा ध्यान से सुनना बोल के, क्या बोल रहे हो क्या नहीं बोल रहे हो. हिज लॉजिक इज करेक्ट गाइस, बट देन यू शुड नॉट टेक प्रॉफिट पर आवर, यू शुड टेक contribution per hour. The choice is still product B, but it wouldn't have been product B as such beta had it been different work, number of labor hours. And you cannot say as long as it is less than 10 hours beta we will do that bolke. Product A is giving us a contribution of 60 rupees by working for how many hours beta? I'll get 6 rupees for every hour of work. Product B is giving me 20 rupees from how many hours? It is 10 rupees per hour. Product C is giving me 45 from 9 rupees per hour. For every hour of work, product B is contributing 10 rupees. You will want to exhaust that first, make a higher amount of profit. Then you will come to product C. If at all there are capacities still left, you will allocate and increase production of product A. Only if there are capacities available. If there are no capacities available, you will not want to do that. 2020, 2021, there was a heavy shortage of semiconductor chips. मिल ही नहीं रहे थे. When there's a shortage of these semiconductor chips is such better, the entities that were manufacturing it obviously better did not choose automobile manufacturers because the amount of margins were lower there. They said instead of selling them guys, it is better to sell to the gaming entities because those chips had a higher selling price, those chips had a higher margin. All the productions were diverted to them guys. And plus 2020 beta, obviously people are sitting at home, the sales of all of these gaming consoles increased by leaps and bounds. So that is why guys there was a shortage for automobile manufacturers. They were not able to deliver cars on time because of unavailability of these chips. It is because of the decision taken by those companies. Those companies said we will divert the production to higher margin products. Obviously beta you will want to increase your margins. Yes or no? तुम लोग कोई भी कंपनी का फाइनेंशियल रिपोर्टिंग जब एनालिसिस पढ़ते हो ना बेटा, यू विल वांट टू सी व्हाट इज द परसेंटेज ऑफ रेवेन्यू कमिंग फ्रॉम प्रीमियम प्रोडक्ट्स. As a companies keep increasing the total mix of premium products as such, their overall profitability increases. Any profitability statement that you would want to analyze, you will want to see what's the ratio of their regular products and what is the ratio of their premium products. But ये समझ में आया क्या बोल रहा हूँ मैं. एग्जाम में अगर time is a limiting factor as such guys, you do not blindly pick up a question that is giving you the highest marks. You also see what will be the time that you will need in order to solve that question. Let's say there's a 20 marker that is going to take 45 minutes and there's a 5 marker that is going to take 5 minutes. Why the hell will you want to answer that 20 marker beta which is going to take 45 minutes? You will prefer answering the 5 marker question that is going to take 5 minutes. So if at all there is a limitation, you go by contribution per limiting factor. It can be per kg of raw material, it can be per labor hour, it can be per machine hour, depending on whatever is the limiting factor. It is contribution per limiting factor. Why do we not take profit? ये जो fixed cost है ये सिर्फ allocated fixed cost है बेटा. It is going to remain constant irrespective of the product mix of the organization. So if the fixed cost is going to remain constant guys, you're not supposed to consider it. Now your next doubt will be, sir, what if there is product specific fixed cost? You cannot take a decision on the basis of contributions anymore. Then we'll have to go by all the combinations and see which combination is giving us a higher. You cannot blindly select. ऐसा ऐसा करने से answer आ जाएगा बोल के. If you cannot directly get an answer better, you will have to see what all combinations. Real life, all the combinations better, system generated answers. It's easier. You input all the data, the system only will tell you what's the best possible combination. Are you getting it? अपने लिए product specific fixed cost नहीं आएगा. If there is no product specific fixed cost guys for limiting factor, you will directly take a decision on the basis of contribution per limiting factor. Are we clear about this? Now better, Yashwant, there how many machine hours available? Correct time पे धोखा देता है ये. Yes beta, Yashwant, there were how many machine hours available? Very good beta, those were requirement. Now you answer what I've asked. How many machine hours are available? हाँ 35 hours. कौन है पे पूरा बोलो बेवकूफ हो, बाजू से 35 करके छोड़ रहा, आगे का 1000 कौन बोलता? Guys, when you are helping guys, at least help properly beta. 35 क्या पे आगे का 1000 क्या बोलता? उसको जानबूझ के फंसाने के लिए कर रहे हैं. अरे यशवंत, स्टे अवे फ्रॉम वंश. तो 35 बोल रहा ना बस. 35,000 hours are available, guys. I already told you first preference will be given to which product? B here. B का demand कितना है बेटा? You will want to exhaust that demand first. So 5,000 units multiplied by 2 hours. कितना हो गया? 35,000 में से 10,000 out. Then you will want to manufacture. You will manufacture how many units of C? 2,000 units. It will give us how much? We will be needing 10,000 hours for C. Those 10,000 hours are also gone, guys. 15,000. These remaining 15,000 hours will be allocated to product A. And 15,000 hours better divided by 10 hours per unit, you will be able to manufacture and sell. You cannot manufacture and sell 3,000. If you can manufacture and sell 3,000 units better, there's no limiting factor. If you can cater to the entire demand, then there has to be zero limiting factors. Are we understanding this, guys? Yes or no? समझ में आ गया? That is how you're going to decide, guys, what is going to be the optimum product mix. The first few questions that you're doing will all be based on this point only, nothing else. समझ में आ गया? This is all short-term decision making when you have capacity constraints. Over a longer period as such, better, you would want to develop your capacities. Very good. Throughput जो बोलते हैं बेटा, I'm not, they है ना, wherever guys there's management lessons, no, they use this technical word, constraint, bottleneck. Bottleneck का मतलब तो समझ में आ गया ना अभी? Bottle का neck is narrow as such better than the entire bottle. That is why, that is what is putting the restriction on the flow of water. Hence the word bottleneck. So whenever any factor of production beta is putting a limitation, we say that's the bottleneck resource. That is putting a limitation on the total number of units that can be manufactured and sold without meditation in the market. There's always a superior power, no doubt about it, guys. Strongly believe in it. Not the right time to connect with that superior power. The right time beta later. सुबह उठो बेटा 4 बजे. ब्रह्म मुहूर्त बोलते हैं. Crazy way to connect. All right. Maybe you will come and pass on that spiritual energy as such better to everyone else. Rishikesh. So guys, anyways, but are we all clear about this? Any doubt in this, guys? समझ में आ गया? पक्का? Once a company identifies bottleneck resource, guys, a company has to, this has nothing to do with the subject now. The company has to make sure better that that bottleneck resource is effectively utilized. If that bottleneck resource is not effectively utilized, guys, you are losing out on a huge amount. You are foregoing profit directly. Time is a limiting factor, guys. तुम पेज के मार्जिन मारने में 15 मिनट वेस्ट कर रहे हो. Aren't you very smart? In the examination, if time is a limiting factor as such, guys, you were more worried about the cuteness of the paper rather than the content of the paper as such, guys. So you are spending more time there. Is it going to cost you heavily in the end, guys? Undoubtedly, yes. Same way, guys, agar machine A is a limiting factor and we waste 2 hours of machine A, breakdown ho jata hai or whatever as such, guys, the company is going to lose out on sales. They're going to produce less beta and they're going to sell lesser quantity. So इसीलिए इसको throughput बोलते हैं. Ensure that the production or the effectiveness as such, guys, of this operation is the highest. Are we clear about this? There should not be any losses that should occur at a bottleneck resource. लिखो guys अभी.